You'll never guess where I've just been. Well, hello again and welcome back to my channel. Now, if you are a long-term sufferer of this channel, you will know this video has been coming for quite a long time, because last year I was invited by Mirka to visit their UK headquarters, but unfortunately because of the COVID situation we had to postpone it on a couple of occasions. But the visit actually went ahead last week, and just to add some icing on the cake, in addition to the visit, you also get to meet your two favourite YouTubers, which is 10-Minute Workshops, Peter Millard and Keith Rag&Bone Brown. Now, unfortunately, Peter couldn't make it on the day because of a COVID situation within the family, which everything's okay. I'm sure you're following and you know the story there. So it was me and Keith who headed to Milton Keynes, which is the headquarters of Mirka UK. Now, the visit itself actually took place over 2 days. So I headed down, and the hotel that they put us up in was actually part of the MK Dons football stadium. And it was a really nice place, as this little clip here will show. So I got myself checked in and decided to have a little bit of a kip, and then agreed to meet Keith in the bar. Now, when I went down to the bar, I seen Keith's film crew setting up in the corner, and as I walked in, his PA came across to have a little chat with me and just to inform me on a couple of things. That under no circumstances was I allowed to make eye contact with Keith, and the only topic of conversation at that time of the day was to be cats. So no, we had I met Keith, who was a fantastic guy. We had a drink in the bar, and then met up with 3 of the guys from Mirka, had a drink with them, went out and had some tea, and then I turned in for the evening, knowing that the following day was going to be quite a long day in itself. So the format of the second day, or the main day if you like, was we headed over to the headquarters, and we sat down in one of the meeting rooms, and we had a bit of a presentation, which is also kind of a talk, which is also kind of a Q&A about Mirka as a company. And then we got introduced to all the different types of tools and equipment, and also had an opportunity in the afternoon to head down to the kind of developments or training centre bit and have a go on some of them as well, which was fantastic. Now, just the briefest of histories of Mirka. They were a company founded in 1943 in Finland, and they have approximately 1,400 employees. What I found interesting, 100 of those are employed exclusively in research and development. And then one of the other big facts that popped up from the second part is, what would you say, when someone says Mirka to you, what would you actually say? Would you say they were a power tool company? Well, I probably would have done, to be honest. But the overwhelming majority of their business, over 2/3 in fact, is abrasives. So when you think about that, wow. So what I'm coming from the perspective of, are they a power tool company? Or should I look at it differently? Are they a company that also makes power tools? Because their main bread and butter, if you like, is abrasives. And then you start to think about the industries that they work in, predominantly in the motor industry, in the aeronautical industry, in the marine industry, in the decorating industry. And then if you think about any kind of company or any kind of service that requires abrasive, sanding or polishing, then you're probably looking at Mirka in some way, shape or form. So it starts to make you think of a much bigger picture of the company. So in addition to the abrasives, they then entered into the world of air-powered tools, predominantly sanders, of which they offer a wide range. Now, I know this from the comment section of my first Mirka video, guys saying to me, have you tried the air sander? They're absolutely fantastic. But it's maybe not quite as simple as that, because when you look at the requirements of the compressor needed to power these, I know Keith said he had a 50-litre compressor, it simply wouldn't be enough to power these tools. So I don't think my Rutland's 9-litre compressor is going to be much good either. So again, it's leaning towards that little bit about industry requirements to power these kind of tools, which is an easy setup in somewhere like Bentley or Rolls-Royce, okay, but maybe not so much in your little one-man band workshop. And then we were shown the range of abrasives they offer, and they do a huge selection. I know Mirka are predominantly associated with Abranet, and maybe one or two of the comments I've had is that Abranet maybe is a little bit fragile, tears easily, particularly on non-sheet goods, like if you're not sanding MDF or something, if you're sanding live edges or something, they can tear a little bit easy. But then they also offer the Abranet Ace, the Abranet Ace HD, which I think is a relatively new one. And then they've also got the Iridium discs, which I've shown in a demonstration on a previous video. And they've also got one I'd never heard of called Nova Star. So they do a wide range for bespoke needs. Now, unfortunately, I can't go into the specifics of how these are actually manufactured, but they did talk us through with it. What I will say is this though, when they were talking about the level of detail that goes into manufacturing your 50 pence or your 60 pence disc, both myself and Keith were going, really? Okay, the attention to detail was unbelievable. Seriously, you're just going to have to take my word for it, because unfortunately I'm not allowed to, I'm privy to any trade secrets, but it's when we watched what was the detail that it went into, I was just blown away. I could not believe how impressive it was for something that is a 50p disc or a 60p disc that's readily available for everyone. So it's interesting to go back to that R&D sort of thing, saying you've got 100 people working in research and development to improve every little thing by the slightest bit. And I found that bit quite interesting, to be honest. Now, one of Mirka's unique selling points obviously is the issue of dust-free sanding, and Keith brought up the question, how dust-free is dust-free? Now, we can conduct tests here, but they have no scientific basis whatsoever. But when you look at actual Mirka's tests conducted in a scientific environment, the feedback was generally it's 97 to 98% of a dust-free environment, which is a very impressive, particularly if you're looking at something like in the decorating trade, when you're working in someone's house and you're sanding down the walls or sanding down the ceilings, and that kind of thing is very important to you. Now, the follow-up question from Keith was really interesting in regards to the air quality meter, because obviously in my experiments it was looking at putting a piece of cotton sheeting down and then sanding over something, and they're the particles you can see, but dust-free sanding as well is about the particles you can't see. And the reference was in an air quality meter that you have the PM 2.5 and the PM 0.3. And as a surprise again to both myself and Keith, it's the one you really need to be looking at is the 2.5 microns and not the 0.3. And we had it explained to us that the smaller microns, they actually, once they're absorbed into your system and they are passed through your bodily functions, shall we say. And the ones you need to really be wary of is the 2.5 level, because those kind of particles are big enough to get stuck in your lungs and they can cause the most damage. So when you are looking at your air quality meter, again, be mindful of that, because it was much of an education to myself and Keith as to anyone else. So I thought it's important just to put that out and let you know. Then we got onto the topic that maybe is for the reason that both myself and Keith have been invited, which was around the Mirka Deros and also around the reliability of the product. Now, if you're not aware, Keith bought a Mirka Deros from new and had to return it under warranty as it stopped working. And I bought a Mirka Deros from new and had to return it twice within a year for some reliability issues. So we talked about the venture into the electric sander market, which started in 2009 with the Mirka Deros, which has since been discontinued, and then in 2012 they introduced the Mirka Deros, which, if you don't know, which I certainly didn't, stands for Direct Electric Random Orbit Sander. Now, so this tool has only been on the market for just less than 10 years, and they've only been in the electric sanding market since 2009. So I suppose you could say that they are very much in their infancy. Now, we did discuss the issue of reliability and push them a little bit on maybe for some answers. Now, we've got two aspects to this which I'd just like to share with you. Firstly is looking at the actual backing pad on the Mirka Deros. Now, if you don't know from my first video, you will, or if you've held one, you will know a Mirka Deros is very light. It comes in at just over 1 kilo, and the backing pad weighs 135 grams. Now, what they are stressing is the importance of looking after and maintaining the backing pad, partly by me explaining this to you now, because if the bits get chunked away at it on the edges when you've kind of not been paying as much attention as what you should be, then the backing pad weight changes, so you're losing fractions of weight, and then that can affect the balance and the vibration of the sander. If it gets down to below 125 grams, the backing pad, it can have a serious negative knock-on effect on the rest of the machine. So there's an importance here, and maybe I suggested about communicating that better, and maybe is that why you've got people from social media involved now. So if you do own a Mirka Deros, please make sure you do keep the upkeep and maintain the backing on your backing pad to help that 130 gram balance, which will then help for the rest of the machine. Also, they talked a little bit about warranty. Now, it comes with a 2-year plus 1 year extended warranty, and the fact that so few private buyers actually fill in the form or scan the QR code and actually extend the warranty to 3 years. It is less than 10%. This is less than 1 in 10 of you, or of us, I registered mine, that actually extends your warranty to 3 years. Now, come on here, folks, all right? If you have bought your dishwasher or your washing machine in the house and you forget to extend the warranty, then there's a bit of a discussion that could go on with you and your other half saying, I thought you'd done it, I thought you'd done it. When you buy your premium power tool, you probably don't want your other half knowing how much you spent on it, okay? It's your responsibility to extend the warranty. Just do it, okay? I suppose from Mirka's perspective, it's good for them in terms of data. Data collection for companies like these is very important to them. Now, it's not that they're going to be snooping around your Bluetooth and monitoring your position or anything. I think it's just that if you, for example, were living in the Northwest like I do, and maybe sales of Mirka Deroses aren't very good up there, then they might do some targeted marketing, or they might do some demonstrations up in that area so it can help promote the product and obviously help promote sales. So that was another interesting bit that came out of it. Just make sure you extend your warranty when you buy it, because it takes you 5 minutes to do. Just returning to the little bit about the backing pad was part 2, because I said, well, you know, I just said this before, shouldn't we really be telling people about this, you know, to make people, to give people a heightened awareness of what they need to be doing? And fairness to Mirka here, they were open and honest, and said they are really focusing and continuously working to improve all components within it, and that probably will be reflected in future developments and future models. I don't know what the future holds, okay? On the back of my hoodie, which I'll show you a picture, there is something for 2022, hopefully, but that's something they're continuously looking to work and develop on. Fair play to Mirka, they were open and transparent about that with both myself and Keith. And finally, at this stage of the day, is just returning to the research and development. Apparently, they frequently have people from R&D who come over from Finland to talk to people in the UK. And I suggested 1 or 2 ideas to them. One was actually in terms of the handle, the grip, was the possibility for like an aftermarket kind of rubber extension to give it a bit more of a bulge on the front, and it could be in different sizes in relation to people's hands. And there was scribbling going along, so they were clearly receptive to listening to folk like myself for ideas, and they're going to feed that back to the research and development department. So again, fair play to them, because if they're going to listen to what we have to say, then they might take that away and it could become a development for future models. And the next stage of the day was being introduced to the widening range of products. Now, what I really liked about that is the opportunity to actually get your hands on them, to feel them, to see what the profile's like, to see how it feels in your hand. And obviously Mirka are pressing ahead with the flappy paddle design. Now, it is a little bit of a love and hate thing. Some people love it, some people really don't like it at all. But from me, experiences on the day, I kind of get to see the rationale as to why they have it, because going back to what I said about the motor industry, okay, those guys, if they are doing the profile, say a wheel arch, and they're sanding or they're polishing, then they would ease off, and having that kind of flappy paddle sort of thing within the hand to ease off as they're going over the arch so they don't go through the paint would be something of a, you know, a general requirement, I'd imagine. Woodworking, I see it as a bit different. You know, a lot of folk really switch it up to number 6 or the highest setting, press the on button, and off they go. So maybe the flappy, maybe I certainly didn't see the flappy paddle kind of side of things now, but if you're looking at it from a widening perspective, the marine industry, the aeronautical, the motor industry, I kind of get it a little bit better, to be honest. And it'd be interesting if I'm trying out some of the different products that we did later on to try and see how I could work with that flappy paddle maybe a little bit better. So they are widening the range of tools. They've brought out the Deros, which is the orbit sander, the kind of a rectangular one, and I think they do a triangular one as well. And there's the Mirka Deros, which is the drywall sander, which we got, well, Keith certainly got to try out a little bit later on. And then they also looked at some of the cordless battery tools that they're entering into as well. And there was a rotary polisher and I think some kind of like orbital polisher as well. So it was interesting to actually hold them in your hands and see how they felt. And then it was time to head downstairs and go and try some of these tools out. Now, obviously, I don't unfortunately have a lot of footage of this because we were busy, to be honest, right? But I have got some bits and pieces of footage here. So Keith is here trying out the Mirka, which is the Deros, which is, and they do a Deros S, I think, which is a shortened version, which is a drywall sander. But what I did find interesting actually is I think it would appeal also to people who are doing large kind of tabletops, maybe not just resin ones, but wood tops as well, because I think it had a 225 millimeter pad on it, so you could cover more area in a shorter space. So I thought, I mean, that's not what its purpose is intended for, but it's something that people may want to consider when they're looking at these products. So we got to try out some polishing as well, taking a piece of a tabletop and taking it from 60 grit through to about 3,000 or 4,000 grit, and that was really enjoyable, to be honest. And I get a little bit OCD on them kind of things because I wanted it to be perfectly right. And I also got the opportunity to try that cordless battery polisher, and I was really impressed with it. The profile in hand was fantastic. It was ultra quiet and it was just so easy to maneuver around. So that's something I might maybe be considering looking at in the future. And then we kind of getting towards the end of the day, they very kindly took us for our lunch, and then it came back just to a little bit of a Q&A and wrapping up before we finished. It was a really interesting day. My eyes were opened, you know, because what an absolutely fantastic opportunity for just a small, insignificant maker like myself to be able to go and see how the industry works from the industry side, instead of just, you know, us forming opinions and just going with that kind of thing. So it's just to hear their story. There was no kind of pressure or anything. It was just kind of like a conversation, really. And that found really, to be honest, I really enjoyed it. I was a little bit nervous going in, but once I settled down, and the three guys, Pete, Chris and Chris, really good guys, like, and as I say, they were very open and receptive, and they were very honest with us throughout the 2 days, which I found, you know, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Now, just one thing I would like to ask is I have arranged with the guys from Mirka. They are going to loan me a Mirka Deros, which is the orbital sander, the rectangular one. I was just wondering if you could let me know in the comments, would you be interested in a comparison video between that and the Festool RTS 400 EQ, the one that I own? Because I've done, I did a comparison with the Deros and the Festool ETS EC150, and that went down really well. It's not so much about which one you should buy, it's just maybe, it was like just comparing the two alongside each other. So if you're interested in that, please let me know in the comments, and it's something I'll definitely put through for future content. And just before I wrap things up, because I know you're going to ask, yes, I did come away with a box of goodies. They did give me a load of different abrasives to try out. One which I haven't tried and I'm looking forward to are these Abrasive Ace HD. This is a 40 grit one, and that's got some serious abrasion on that, so it'll be interesting to see how that is. I did get from something that's called a roundy kit, which is kind of like a sanding pad, but it's got a dust extraction hose on it as well, and when you're maybe sanding discs getting a little bit worn, you can actually wrap it round onto it. I thought it's a, you know, clever little idea. Some other bits and pieces I got. I really like the hoodie that I got. I've got a t-shirt from them as well. I've got some sunglasses, which I think I'm going to have to show them, but not on me. I think the dog might have to model those just to see what it looks like in them, and a few other bits and pieces as well. I've got a fantastic poster off them, which is about different wood species, which I'm probably going to learn a lot from, to be honest. So again, little things like that. But you know, I'm really grateful for those things that they've gifted me. The abrasives themselves, as you know, if you've seen one of my previous videos comparing the cheapest that you can buy on Amazon to the most expensive sanding disc you can buy. I was really sort of complimentary. I do like the Mirka sanding disc. I particularly like the iridium ones, and I'm looking forward to trying the Nova Star one as well, because I think there's similarities and different, it'll be interesting to see the similarities and differences between those and the iridium. Right, and that's pretty much it, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I appreciate it's just a bit of a monologue, but I wanted to convey to you what I've done over the course of the 2 days. I've been looking forward to this for the best part of a year, and it was well worth the wait because I had a fantastic time. Okay, as ever, everyone, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.